questions, which aren't meant to be taken facetiously, but
please, you don't need to keep. You don't need to keep.
Materialist?
Sir, you don't need to keep clearing your throat like this. Don't apologize. Get on with it, rather.
Sure. I mean, many people thought the Earth was flat, and at Baculum they were wrong. But what I do want to ask, one is, are you actually a materialist? Because you didn't kind of tell us what you were, and I should have read your book more carefully. But is it?
As long as you.
Sure, go ahead.
Got a receipt for it, I don't care. Yeah, I'm a materialist.
Good,
yeah.
Okay, that's right. So
believe me.
So in this, good, and in that sense. So, and in that sense, then I'm just curious. Do you feel when you express moral outrage or angst or frustration, and you might already know your answer to this, but I'm really genuinely just thinking about, as you sort of, as people praise your writing, and you kind of beautifully humble your head, I mean, and now you want to say it's not quite beautiful. No. Here, the question is,
yes.
We don't sort of see this behavior in ant holes, and it is complicated, but how do you feel that you're using borrowed capital a lot when you express outrage? Because salt and pepper in my my medical lab don't fight each other. They don't, when I mix them, they don't get angry if I reach my hand into someone's abdomen and rip out their liver.
Good grief.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. So I hope the question, as much as I stuttered, is I'm ready to just hear what you thought.
Yeah, no, look, please don't be put off by my low humor or attracting any laughter. I mean, you make a perfectly, to me, respectable point. There are some mysteries that I'm quite content not to know the answer to. For example, yes, of course I'm a materialist. I believe I'm made of atoms. The fact that there was no me 59 years ago doesn't terrify me at all. There was, as far as there was a void where I might be, later was. There'll later be similar void, slightly fatter. It has the same effect on me as it did on David Hume.
Sure.
Those are the breaks. That is, in fact, the situation. It's childish to pretend otherwise.
No, I agree.
My friend Sam Harris, author of one of the better books of the Musketeer team, is in fact some kind of Buddhist. He does think, and he's a neuroscientist, he does think that there's, and we're having a great argument with him in Pages of Free Inquiry, because we don't excommunicate each other in our book. We asked him to sign up to say why he thinks there could be consciousness independent of the brain. It's a very interesting argument. I have no preconception about it. I have a strong feeling it's unlikely. Whether it's true or not, that would remain with me as a mystery. The following: why do I care? Why do I bother? Why do I mind about Darfur? Why would I feel impelled, even if I found a wallet stuffed with money on the back seat of a cab and no one had noticed, to see if what I can do about giving it back? Why have I got some wallets back that way myself? I know it's a bit reductionist to say that without this capacity for solidarity, as I call it, empathy, the human species couldn't be having this discussion anyway. If this wasn't innate in us, we wouldn't be here. But to say it's evolutionarily positively selective still seems a little much like saying love is a chemical reaction. So I go to poetry and to music when philosophy fails, knowing that that's about probably as far as I can go.
Okay,
and it doesn't give me the right to tell anyone else what to do.
But in a way, you kind of are right there. Could I just say one more thing?
Yeah. Well, I think we should allow for the fact that he's probably in a minority as a believer. But can you make it crisp this time?
It shall be. It will be. And thanks for your
terse. You know what I mean?
It shall be. Two little quick ones. One, if what you believed isn't true.
You see, they don't know when to stop, the faithful. They pretend to be modest, are they? No.
No, I'm not modest. I know that about myself. So listen, here's the last question.
Okay.
As I spun through the book, it said that you didn't really think there was evidence for Jesus existing. And I wondered, are you Kierkegaard? Are you playing with us? Or do you really believe that statement?
There's this is a plain statement that anyone could make. Jesus of Nazareth is not a figure in history. There is no firm evidence that he existed. His I have it in some detail in my book. None of his, none of the apostles.
You go through Bar Ehrman, so.
We're running out of time.
Yes, there is Professor
But we're
Ehrman's, a
talking
very
about
excellent
it.
book, but if you didn't have Professor Ehrman's book, and all you had was the four Gospels, none of the four authors agree on any important fact about his life. They can't get the date right, they can't get the place of birth right, they clearly can't get the paternity right, which I think is no small thing myself. They can't know. It's hopelessly discrepant. Unfortunately, the Prophet Muhammad, you can say, is a figure in history, but that doesn't make it any more believable
So
that he
you
was
really do
dictated to by an archangel.
You really do believe Jesus never existed?
No, I say there's no reason to believe that he did.
We're running out of
Alright.
we're running out of time. So I'm gonna take two questions over there at this mic, and then we gotta end it up.
Okay, hi, Mr. Hitchens. I'm
Hello.
a long-time admirer, and I like to read everything with your name after it.
Go on.
But I'm also
No, actually, hurry up.
How do you understand the millennia of testimony, of answered prayer, of spiritual experiences beyond reason, of bad people becoming good through faith? What's the source for that? Do you believe there is a source and all things good?
No, I don't. I mean, I believe people who tell me they've seen ghosts, for example, and had visions of the Virgin Mary. I have no reason to doubt. I think they saw them, but they weren't there.
No, I'm not talking about those kind of experiences.
You mean conversion experiences? People say, now I will finally, the President of the United States says, I will exchange Jack Daniels for Methodism. A trade I cannot imagine anyone making. Because Jesus told me I should do it. Well, I think that Laura Bush said, listen, and it's been said before in Texan society, it's Jack Daniels or me, asshole. And if you do that again, I'll leave and I'll take the kids. You say, Jesus got me off the drink, fine. I said already, whatever floats the boat. Just leave me out of it. I don't want to hear this stuff, and it doesn't give you the right to tell me what to do. How many times must I say it? How many times already? Amen. How long, oh Lord, how long?
To what extent do you believe someone that is a sincere Marxist, which I understand you have been, or a sincere Darwinist, which you professing as well, to be religious and have some kind of faith? Do you see Marx being influenced by his Jewish heritage and the family conversion to Christianity, trying to emulate the early church in Jerusalem as far as people giving up what they have voluntarily, but what is something he tried to force in Marxism? And in evolution, Darwin's thinking, do you believe that you descended from a lower form like an ape? And do you believe that the links that are scientifically existing today prove evolution to your satisfaction? Do you believe that humans today, Caucasians, are a higher form than Negroes? And Negroes are a higher form of the ape, which is actually similar to what the Mormon Church seems to be believing.
I hate to answer a question with a question. You're not seeking the Republican nomination. Because if so,
I will serve.
I saw that one of them said that he wouldn't believe that he was descended from an ape, and I thought, that's what they think we think. It's amazing. They don't know as much as not to know. After all this time, when it was William Jennings Bryan versus Darrow and Mencken, it was an argument, you might say. It's not an argument now. Everybody knows. We think we have common ancestors with other primates, as we did with the Cro-Magnons and the Neanderthals. And we're quite lucky to be having this discussion since 99.5 of all species ever existing on the Earth have begun extinct. Some design, by the way. So, Karl Marx, I can't call myself a socialist anymore. It fell away from me. I found I couldn't honestly say it any longer. But I have a very strong affinity for Marx.
Okay, our last question, I'm going to allow one more because it's our first
I was just
question
getting my trousers off about Karl Marx.
Wait,
Okay,
last
fine.
question.
You don't want to hear it anyway. I'll wrap up with Marx.
I'm absolutely terrified to speak. Terrified.
I
But
know
I
the
have
feeling.
to. I can't stand it anymore. I am a very serious atheist, okay? I know so much about why I am an atheist. I could write a library if I like to write, which I don't, but I could, because that's how serious it is to me, how much I'll tell you why. I used to be. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't have a question. I just have to stand up for the other side, for the atheist side, and I want to say something. It was the Mormon man who made me know I had to get up. He said something about how can you know if you haven't had an experience of God? I used to be one of these very born-again types of Catholics, not fundamentalists, but, you know, very, to me, Jesus was so real. I mean, I'd go shopping and talk to him, help me get a nice dress. I mean, it was very real to me. I had the right emotional makeup and imagination for it. And I know what it's like. I mean, I went to Lourdes and Fatima. I used to go to Mass every day. I know what it's like to have what Protestants refer to as a personal relationship with Jesus. I now know it was just an active imagination. And I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have the positive side of religion, but I also know the dark side. It wasn't all nice and comforting. There was a lot of bad downside.
Can you ask a question, please?
I didn't know you had to ask a question.
She told me she was fake.
No, it's just that I just wanted to.
Well, no.
Put on,
Somebody this evening had to say a good word for atheism.
I mean, really, I wanted to respond to the Mormon man that there
And
were
it had to be
people
you.
out there
Well, can't pick your friends. Well, I'm sure a lot of people here do in fact know what you have been through. Is this goodbye, or do I do the Karl Marx bit? They want it. Oh, well, it's in the book. I would say in the list or history or anthology of bogus quotations, there's Dr. Johnson saying patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel. You've heard it. When he was referring to the Patriot Party, not to patriotism, he was referring to John Wilkes. As a Tory, he would never have said patriotism was scandalous. You get it all the time. I collect quotations that are dead wrong that everyone believes, but the most salient one in this case, I think, is the belief that Karl Marx referred to religion as the opium of the people, and it would serve as an ending just to show that I do not propose that everyone lives without the numinous or the spiritual or the transcendent. What Marx said was, having announced that the criticism of religion was the beginning of all criticism, because it was the beginning of philosophy, he said that religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, the spirit of a spiritless situation, an opium for people. And he added that the demand to give up the illusions in it was the demand to give up the condition that required illusions. And he ended rather beautifully by saying that criticism had plucked the flowers from the chain, not so that we should wear the chain without consolation, but so that we could break the chain and cull the living flower. And, well, I think it's well put.